Hi, welcome to Module 5 Student Assessment. In this module, we are going to talk about how to assess students in CLIO context because we know that in CLIO context, we not only need to assess students' language learning but also the content learning. So, in this module, we are going to talk about two pieces. First, we are going to talk about when to assess, what to assess, and how to assess students. And the second part, we are going to talk about how we can use a very strong tool that is called Assessment Grid to help us organize our assessment. So now let's talk about first part in this lecture video is talk about those three questions like when to assess students, what to assess students, and also how can we assess students. Let's first take a closer look at when to assess. When we talk about when to assess, we have to mention two types of assessment, which can help us to decide when can we assess students. The first concept you need to know is formative assessment, and the second term you need to know about is summative assessment. They are already been covered in your pre-lecture readings, and now I um, want you to identify from these two definition, like explanation, which explanation belongs to formative assessment and which one belongs to summative assessment. Now you could pause the video here and read the definition and think about how to match them. You may pause the video now. Well, welcome back. So I hope you already figured out. And now let's look at the definition. The first is during the learning process, providing feedback for students' ongoing learning, and it is kind of assessment as learning. So this one actually belongs to during the learning, this one formative assessment, and at the end of learning process merely testing students knowledge and skills, this actually belongs to summative assessment. Let me switch back to my pen so it can better support you. And so here we will know that formative assessment actually offers instant feedback for students, especially it can be like used after a lesson, or like it can be a quick Q&A between a teacher and students. And also but summative assessment always happens at the end of the learning process, like the Gaokao in China, and also the final examination. These are called, this can be categorized as summative assessment. And in the formative assessment, it can happen like informal or formal ones. If it is like informal, formative assessment, it can be like um, quick Q&A, like I have mentioned. If it's a formal one, it can be like graded quizzes, or like quick test with grades, or quick test after the the lesson, excuse me. This can be called formative assessment. And now let's look at what to assess. In CLIO, we have two aspects to assess. First, we need to assess students' content knowledge, and second, we need to assess students' language knowledge. So when we talk about these two aspects, actually, we can refer to the General Act model, which we have been covered in Module 2. In General Act model, as I hope you can still remember, it covers like academic vocabulary level, sentence level, and also the text level and curriculum level. So when we need to identify what to assess, we can start thinking from these three levels. And we can also think about what to assess from the second um, perspective, is to figure out whether we need to test students' receptive skills or productive skills. So what are receptive skills? It means like like student needs to absorb knowledge. For example, like listening and reading, it means like student needs to have the input and then to test whether they understand it, or it can be a productive assessment, which means students need to produce something like write an essay, or they need to do a presentation and to illustrate what they have learned. So you can um, assess students like two types of skills. And for how to assess, here, this is the most important part we would like to cover in this lecture video, is this 3x3 grade, assessment grade. So this 3x3 assessment grade is developed based on Bloom's taxonomy. As you can see, like recalling, applying, and analyzing, these are related to Bloom's taxonomies, and it requires higher and higher order thinking order higher and higher order thinking skills. And the vocabulary and sentence text, this part, this vertical column, is closely related to the general act model from my perspective. So every time if you want to think about how to assess your student, you can use this 3x3 grid model to help you brainstorm the assessment types. For example, if you want to test students lower thinking skill like recalling some vocabulary, then you may design assessment like this. And these are the examples that my previous classmates has come out with, and I already get the consent for them to share these um, examples. So what they designed first is about recording a vocabulary. So they ask students label the task and like label the part of the body using the vocabulary. So this requires students first to remember what does the vocabulary means, and second, they need to memorize the corresponding vocabulary with the body parts. And let's look at the second example. If we need to look at applying a vocabulary column, this in this part, it's not only labeling, it also like requires students to correctly like think forward and how to apply those um, knowledge in the question to solve that problem. And third, analyzing the vocabulary level, which is the third grade, excuse me, third cell. So it means like students need to analyze the word, like where to they need to figure out whether they are like at like lower air or higher air, and this process they need to combine all the information and get a conclusion, and in this process is actually analyzing the knowledge. So this part is not just about remembering, it also needs students to apply their analysis skills. And for the Green Knight, which is analyzing text level, and I would say the most difficult part, challenging part for students is to analyzing a text. And in this kind of assignment, students are required to produce a long paragraph using what they have learned um, through the vocabulary level, and also they need to like applying all the content knowledge they have learned to produce a reasonable and logic like text, long text. So this requires the most higher order thinking skill. So this is why I would like to introduce. And for your final project assignment, you can also use this 3x3 grid to guide you to brainstorm and think about what kind of assessment you would like to use to assess students for your lesson. I hope this is helpful to you. So this is all about Module 5. I hope the 3x3 assessment grid we talk about today may help you to refine your final project design, especially for your assessment part. And if you have any question, just feel free to message me or send an email to me. I'm happy to help you along your way learning. See you in the next module.